Hello friends, welcome to Backgrounder series session 3. Today we are going to talk about Brexit and the European Union. In the first session we had talked about Khalistan and the Punjab problem, and in the second session we had talked about the crisis in Afghanistan. Today we'll try to examine the issue of Brexit. Now remember, as I've already said, these sessions you don't have to write any notes. If you want the entire PPT of this session, kindly email to us at this email ID. Brexit as a topic is something which has many dimensions and has a lot of depth. At the core of the issue of Brexit, you have economics and you have immigration mainly, and of course you also have a question of identity. We'll come to these later when we look at the causes for Brexit. We'll go directly into the past, of course. We'll start with the formation of the European Union and the various stages leading up to the Maastricht Treaty, which gave the EU a legal entity, and the Treaty of Lisbon. Remember, we are not going to talk about the Eurozone crisis, and we are not going to talk about the Greek debt crisis, two major crises which hit the European Union in the past 20 years. They are the subject of a different lecture altogether. सिर्फ यूरोजोन क्राइसिस डिस्कस करने के लिए पूरे 2 घंटे लग सकते हैं, और सिर्फ ग्रीक डेट क्राइसिस को डिस्कस करने के लिए पूरे 4 घंटे लग सकते हैं. तो वो चीजें हम डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे. आफ्टर एन इनिशियल इंट्रोडक्शन, आवर फोकस वुड बी ऑन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द व्हाई ऑफ ब्रेक्सिट एंड what is the current status and what are the various options. Now, before we even begin, when I was a student, I used to have a lot of confusion between what is England, what is Britain, and what is United Kingdom. Okay, so this map will clearly show you what these three are. Remember, Great Britain was formed by a union of England and Scotland, and when we talk about England, Scotland and Wales rather, and when we talk about United Kingdom, we are talking about the entire Britain, plus you are talking about Northern Ireland, right? The Southern Ireland now is an independent nation. So UK comprises of what? England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Okay. Great Britain would be England, Wales and Scotland. I hope that aspect is clear. So this is the map which shows you what these nations are. Now, over the past, since the 13th or 14th century, the European powers were constantly at war with each other, particularly Britain and France, causing large-scale destruction and devastation. Maybe due to colonial ambitions, maybe due to entertaining superpower ambitions, इसके कारण कुछ भी हो सकते हैं, लेकिन 300 साल, 400 साल से यूरोप में अलग-अलग शक्तियां एक दूसरे से लड़ाई कर रही थी. As you can see from this particular graph, a very interesting infographic. All of it finally culminated in World War I, which lasted from 1914 to 1918. And after World War I mean, the end of World War I definitely sowed the seeds of World War II. And after World War II, finally it was thought that instead of fighting against each other, it would be better for the people of Europe if the European nations collaborated with each other on at least some issues, and that's how the notion of European Union was born. Of course, this was not the first effort at peace between the European nations. Earlier there was a Treaty of Westphalia, but वो बहुत पुरानी बात है, उसमें हमको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. The first step was in 1950 with the formation of the European Coal and Steel Community. This was based on the Treaty of Paris. At that point of time, there were only 6 members, that is Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg and the Netherlands. In 1957 came the second important treaty, the Treaty of Rome. This created the European Economic Community, or what is called the Common Market. कॉमन मार्केट मतलब क्या होता है, इस पे हम थोड़ी देर बाद आएंगे when we look at the logic behind EU. Now 1945 to 59, as you will very well remember, were the years of the Cold War as well. You had Germany was split into two. You had West Germany, and which aligned with the NATO nations, and you had East Germany which was aligned with the Warsaw Pact nations. Okay. Then you go to the second phase of economic progress and enlargement. During the 1960s, members of the European Economic Community abolished customs on goods moving from one of these nations to the other nations. This led to a great increase in trade, of course, because the tariff barriers were not there. Agricultural production was also controlled together, just like today OPEC controls oil production, and eventually there was a surplus food production. In 1968, problems erupted in Paris. उस वक्त का समाज का ढांचा आप देखिए, वर्ल्ड वॉर II के बाद, after World War II, due to the massive casualties that had happened, reproduction rates increased and advances in medicine were also going on. So at one point, on one hand you had declining death rates, on the other hand you had increasing birth rates from the 1940s and 50s onwards. So in 1960s, there was a peculiar situation in France where there were a large number of youth, but there were not enough colleges to educate these youth. Okay? So issues related that, and there was a lot of economic prosperity. But issues related to the youth took center stage, and you had the Paris riots of 1968. The then president of France, Charles de Gaulle, had to actually escape from France. The revolt ended, the violence ended when fresh elections were called. Of course, Charles de Gaulle again came back to power. That's a different story altogether. A major important event in 1973 was the Arab-Israeli war, which led to a drop in the oil that was being supplied to the European nations and created an oil crisis also. Slowly, the European Parliament started increasing its influence. Right? Again, remember, these are the times of the Cold War. In 1981, Greece became the 10th member of the European Union, and Spain and Portugal, of course, followed 5 years later. In 1986, a very important event, the Single European Act was signed. This was an act which aimed to create total custom-free movement and a single market between the European nations. कुछ nations थे जो अभी भी एक दूसरे के commodities पे tariffs लगाते थे. समय देना क्यों जरूरी होता है इन कामों के लिए? समय देना इसलिए जरूरी होता है कि अगर कंट्री X से मैं कुछ इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं और ऊपर इंपोर्ट टैरिफ्स अगर लगा रहा हूं, वो टैरिफ्स अगर मुझे खत्म करने हैं, ओके, याद रखिए उसी कमोडिटी को मैन्युफैक्चर करने वाले मेरे देश में भी बहुत लोग हैं. तो बाहर से के देश से जो मटेरियल आ रहा है उसमें मैं अगर टैरिफ 0 कर दूं तो वो मटेरियल बहुत सस्ता हो जाएगा, मेरा मटेरियल महंगा हो जाएगा. ठीक है? ऐसा ही अब एक कमोडिटी में मैं डिसएडवांटेज में हो सकता हूं, दूसरे कमोडिटी में मैं एडवांटेज में हो सकता हूं ना. तो ये सब चीजें स्टेबलाइज करने के लिए एक समय सीमा, एक समय लगता है. राइट? When you talk about the WTO negotiations, उसमें भी a major part of the negotiation is this process only. Finally, in 1989, 9th November to be precise, the Berlin Wall collapsed and East Germany and West Germany came much more closer to each other culturally and geographically, so they were close anyways. On 7th Feb 1992, the Maastricht Treaty was signed, and this came into force in 1993, and this was the creation of the European Union. The main focus of European Union is the 4 essential freedoms. The 4 essential freedoms. What are these? Free movements of goods, free movement of services, free movement of people, and free movement of money. I'll repeat: free movement of goods, services, people, and money. These are the 4 important freedoms which are the foundation of EU. ब्रेक्सिट के दौरान भी EU ऑफिशियल्स ने ये बार-बार बोला है कि ये 4 फ्रीडम्स पे कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं हो सकता. Okay? Another step was in 1995 when the Schengen Agreement was signed. The Schengen Agreement created a visa-free zone between 28 countries in Europe. कुछ समय पहले ये शेंगेन एग्रीमेंट भी कोलैप्स की वर्ज पे था ड्यू टू द इमिग्रेशन प्रॉब्लम, बट दैट्स द पार्ट ऑफ सम अदर लेक्चर। आज अगर कभी फिर से बात आई तो उस पर हम थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन करेंगे। 2000 the next important treaty is the 2009 Treaty of Lisbon which gave EU a full legal personality. इसके बाद EU got the ability to sign international agreements on a lot of matters on behalf of the nations as well. तो ये अभी का जो EU है, यूरोपियन यूनियन है, 4 चीजों पे सिर्फ EU का कानून चलता है और किसी देश का कानून नहीं चलता। ऐसे 3 तरह के बाइफर्केशन हैं। तो ये 4 एरियाज कौन से हैं जिसपे कानून बनाने का एक्सक्लूसिव अधिकार यूरोपियन यूनियन का है, उन देशों का नहीं। फर्स्ट इज कस्टम्स यूनियन। ओके, कस्टम्स यूनियन का मतलब हमारे यूरोपियन यूनियन में जितने भी देश हैं वो जब दूसरे देश से ट्रेड करेंगे तो उसमें टैरिफ क्या लगेगा, कितना लगेगा, ऑल दिस हैज टू बी डिसाइडेड बाय द EU। सेकेंड, matters related to competition between the 28 nations, for example formation of a cartel, should they form a cartel or not, etc. Third is monetary policy of the eurozone nations. Eurozone nations मतलब वो nations जिन्होंने यूरो को करेंसी माना है। आउट ऑफ द 28 स्टेट्स nations in European Union, 19 have adopted euro as their currency. Some countries have not yet adopted euro as a currency. Main amongst them, of course, are the Britishers. तो मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी यूरोजोन की फिक्स EU करेगी, वो मेंबर नेशंस नहीं करेंगे। और because Britain is surrounded and Europe has a lot of seas around, the fisheries policy. What are the areas? I repeat: customs union, competition, monetary policy of the eurozone, fisheries. ठीक है, 4 एरियाज। तो ये 4 एरियाज पे यूरोप ही कानून बनाएगी, यूरोपियन यूनियन ही कानून बनाएगी। दिस इज द यूरोपियन यूनियन फेज एंड दिस इज हाउ द यूरोपियन यूनियन लुक्स नाउ। ये मैप के बाजू में आपको लेजेंड भी दिया हुआ है, व्हाट मींस व्हाट। तो इट्स अ वेरी क्लोजली बाउंड कनेक्शन। रिमेंबर, Norway is recognized as a potential candidate. Remember, this is as of June 2016, and Turkey is an official candidate, and these are the members of the European Union. This next graph is very interesting. It shows you the economic might of the European Union. If you consider all the 28 countries of the European Union, their GDP is greater than the GDP of the US. That is, economic perspective se, this is the biggest block in the world. This is the biggest block in the world. This GDP is more than US and more than China and of course more than India. That is the economic might of the European Union. कुछ सेक्टर्स में उन्होंने इंडस्ट्रीज भी बनाई जो यूएस की इंडस्ट्री से कंपीट करती हैं। Now in this, if you look at 2017 statistics, contribution to European Union's GDP, the top 3 nations are Germany, United Kingdom and France, and the contribution of United Kingdom to the GDP to the GDP of European Union is 15.2%. Germany is way ahead at 21.3%. So remember, Britain is a very important member of the EU. If Britain decides to leave EU की GDP धड़ाक से 16% ड्रॉप करेगी। ओके, देन द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट दैट वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट द पावर स्ट्रक्चर। ये सब ऐसी ही चीजें हैं, तो मैं एक इंट्रोड्यूस करके छोड़ दे रहा हूं। इसके डेप्थ में आपको ये लेक्चर में, ये टॉक में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर आप हमारा फुल कोर्स लगाएंगे तो यूरोपियन यूनियन पे एक सेपरेट सा लेक्चर रहेगा ही। तो यू हैव द यूरोपियन काउंसिल। In European Council, you have the leaders of the country, of various countries. Then you have the European Commission, which has 28 commissioners. Then you have European Parliament, which is directly elected by the citizens of Europe. Okay, currently this has 751 members. Then you have Council of the European Union. This is ministers from EU member states, right? These are the various organs in the past in the European Union. This is how the EU works. You have the European Commission, which proposes and legislates and prepares the budget, etc., etc. The European Commission is appointed, of course, by the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers पे कौन रहते हैं? अलग अलग यूरोपियन देशों के जो मंत्री हैं वो Council of Ministers में रहते हैं. European Parliament elected directly by the citizens. Okay. European Commission is appointed by the Council of Ministers and supervised by the European Parliament. तो ये काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स, यूरोपियन पार्लियामेंट और यूरोपियन कमीशन मिला के एक दो चीजें हैं, लॉ रिलेटिंग टू द 4 इश्यूज दैट वी हैड टॉक्ड अबाउट एंड द यूरोपियन यूनियन बजट. इस तरह से ये सब चीजें बनती हैं. ओके, अगला पॉइंट देखें. आफ्टर हाउ द ईयू वर्क्स, यू हैव ब्रिटेन एंड द ईयू. नाउ रिमेंबर, every member country has to contribute, of course, to the European Union. This contribution, how much should each nation contribute? This contribution is calculated based on 3 factors. First of all, a fixed percentage of gross national income of that country. Customs duties, क्योंकि remember now when Britain is trading with India, remember, तो ब्रिटेन का ट्रेड लॉ नहीं है यहाँ, EU का ट्रेड लॉ है. तो इंडिया से ब्रिटेन को जो भी कस्टम्स मिलेगा, that is held in a separate account and that entire amount is transferred to the European Union. Okay, how does European Union use that money? We'll come to that. तो दूसरा होता है duties, collect customs duties, and third a percentage of VAT income that has been generated in the nation. ये 3 parts हैं जो हर देश को contribute करना पड़ता है towards the European Union. The largest part of this contribution is of course the GNI based contribution. UK को इसमें रिबेट मिलता है. उसका कारण ये है that UK का GNP is much higher originally also because UK was a colonial superpower and industrial superpower before the United States और बहुत सारी चीजें. तो traditionally UK का gross national income has been much more than other European nations, maybe except for Germany. But World War 1970-60s के पहले तो शायद UK भी आगे था. तो इसके कारण अगर UK को gross national income के आधार पर पैसे देने, contribution देने बोला, तो it will be unfair to the UK. तो UK को उसमें एक रिबेट दिया जाता है. Correct? This rebate was first proposed by Margaret Thatcher and it was accepted, and the process of calculation of this rebate is very complex. We won't go into that today. Okay, तो ये UK से जो disproportionate contribution आता था, disproportionate in relation to other member nations, to compensate, to offset that, UK was given a rebate. तो ये फिगर्स आप 2017 के देख सकते हैं. यूके का कंट्रीब्यूशन $18.6 बिलियन, रिबेट $5.6 बिलियन, तो ग्रॉस कंट्रीब्यूशन वाज $13 बिलियन. अगर यूके यूरोपियन यूनियन का पार्ट नहीं रहता है तो ये $13 बिलियन की तो डायरेक्ट सेविंग है. बट द यूरोपियन यूनियन spent 4.1 billion pounds, remember, not dollars, pounds. The European Union spent 4.1 billion pounds in UK on various programs. तो यूरोपियन यूनियन अगर नहीं है तो ये पैसा तो यूके को ही करना पड़ेगा या वो स्कीम्स कैंसिल करनी पड़ेगी. तो ओवरऑल द नेट कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ यूके टू द यूरोपियन यूनियन इन द ईयर 2017 was 8.9 billion pounds. Okay, these are the finances. So if UK does not become a member of the EU, ये 8.9 billion pounds की तो पूरी सेविंग है यूके की, बट उसके डिसएडवांटेजेस बहुत है. इनफैक्ट नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज हाउ डज EU यूज दिस मनी. रिमेंबर, Britain, there is a certain percentage of population in Britain has never been in favor of the European Union. Okay? Since 2015, ये ब्रेक्सिट का जो मोमेंटम है मुझे अच्छे से याद है, 2015 में ब्रेक्सिट का मोमेंटम ब्रिटेन में बढ़ने लगा. One of the main reasons for that at that point of time, of course, was the Greek debt crisis and the decision of the European Union to give a bailout to Greece for the third time. 2010 में there already had been a bailout, 2012 में एक और bailout हुआ, and in 2015 the European Union decided to give a bailout to Greece. यहाँ से इंग्लैंड में और थोड़ी सी चिड़चिड़ मचना शुरू हो गई, that why is our money, our contribution is so much, why is our money being misutilized for this? So Brexit, the current Brexit basically started off as an economic issue. After that, उसके बाद उसमें बहुत सारे रंग घुल मिल गए, ये दूसरी बात है, उसमें हमको अभी फिलहाल जाना नहीं है. तो this is the 2015 budget of the EU, a total budget of 145 billion euros. Germany is the biggest contributor at 21.36%, France is at 15.72%, and UK is at 12.57%. That means 12.57% of the money received by the European Union for its budget in 2015 was given by the UK. You can look at Greece here. Greece is a measly 1.26%. Now we come to the important question, why Brexit? As far as the question of Brexit is concerned, it's a complex mix of a lot of reasons. Mainly, if you look at the history of European Union, Britain has always opted out of key decisions. Britain opted out of the Eurozone. Britain opted out of Schengen. Schengen, remember, had Schengen Treaty. Schengen Treaty had relaxed the border controls, right? Critics of the European Union in Britain believe that Britain is getting very less compared to how much it is giving. इसके पीछे का rationale क्या है? समझिए. If Britain is not a part of the European Union, okay, with every country that it trades outside the European Union, it can have its own set of laws. यूरोपियन यूनियन के अंदर के देशों का क्या करना है ये अभी तक तय नहीं हुआ है, ओके, लेकिन जो यूरोप के बाहर के देश हैं, विद दोस कंट्रीज ब्रिटेन कैन ट्रेड. सेकेंड, let's have a, if you look at the ratio, number of Britishers studying outside Britain in Europe, okay, and number of non-British studying in Britain, okay, तो ये नंबर में मिसमैच है. गॉट द आइडिया? तो मतलब ब्रिटेन से बाहर कम लोग जा रहे हैं और ब्रिटेन के अंदर ज्यादा लोग आ रहे हैं, तो ये मिसमैच है. तो ये सब चीजों के कारण some critics of the European Union think that Britain is being held back by the EU. EU के रूल्स के कारण ब्रिटेन ट्रेड में अपना पोटेंशियल अचीव नहीं कर रहा है. ये बाहर से जो लोग आ रहे हैं ये ब्रिटेन दे आर अ ड्रेन ऑन द ब्रिटिश रिसोर्सेस एंड सो ऑन. तो मेजरली जो इश्यूज हैं वो तीन हैं. द फर्स्ट इज द इमिग्रेशन controversy. What is the immigration controversy? A citizen of a EU member state can relocate and work in the UK without a work visa. Okay, जैसा मैंने बोला, पूरे EU में का कोई भी व्यक्ति ब्रिटेन के अंदर सेटल हो सकता है और काम कर सकता है. He does not need a work visa. इसके economic implications ये हैं that the welfare that the British government has to provide for its people, right? These immigrants, according to Britain, these immigrants, they take up a lot of the resources which are originally for the welfare of British citizens, like the National Health Service. ये पहला issue है. Second is the economic issue. People who want Britain to leave the European Union, they say that the money sent by the UK to EU gets redistributed to various other countries. वो खर्चा हम क्यों उठाएं? उनकी इनएफिशिएंसी का खर्चा हम क्यों उठाएं? ग्रीक डेट क्राइसिस के बेल आउट का पैकेज वो ग्रीस की जो इकोनॉमी है उसके It is because of the systemic weaknesses in the economy of the Greece. Why should we bear the burden? Therefore, let's get out of EU. These are people who go for the leave campaign. Then there are people who are in the remain campaign. That remain campaign is we should still be a part of the European Union. They say that if Britain leaves the EU, remember today Britain's goods can go to any of the other 27 nations without customs duty. If Britain leaves the EU, that will not be possible. Once that happens, and second, work visa, okay, because there are a lot of people in Britain now who are not Britishers, who are from other parts of Europe. If they are asked to leave, uska economic impact kya hoga? Okay, if Britain has to pay customs, if British companies attract customs for selling their goods in, say, Switzerland, uska economic implication kya hoga? So people who are with the Remain campaign, they argue that if Britain leaves, if UK exits the EU, the economic costs will be huge. So these are the economic issues. And the third is a very abstract and a hypothetical issue, of course, the question of identity. People in UK, they don't see themselves as Europeans. They see themselves as Britishers. There's a huge difference. And many people can't reconcile the fact that they are citizens of Europe. No, they say, we are Britishers. So the question of British identity within the European Union, indeed, is a very complex issue. If you want to understand this issue better, let's take a hypothetical example. India, Nepal, Bhutan, Burma, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and China. They come together and they form a Asian Union. Okay? 4 to 5 issues have to be legislated by the Asian Union. We are citizens of that Asian Union. How would you feel about your Indian identity? Got the idea? So I'm just trying to give you an example of how they must feel, because हम जब अपने आप को जब तक वो परिस्थिति में नहीं डालते हमको ठीक से बात समझ में नहीं आती है. So this is the question of identity. So the 3 issues: immigration, economics and question of identity. 2015 में immigration crisis जो हुई, उसके कारण pro Brexit वालों को बहुत बड़ा momentum मिला. Because when the question of Syrian refugees came, Angela Merkel of Germany, she was the first to say, let them in. Germany का problem बहुत बड़ा था. Germany did not have a labor force. And these immigrants came into Germany. Now, because they came into Germany, from Germany, they could go anywhere in Europe. मैंने आपको बोला था, Schengen was on the verge of collapsing. This was the reason. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे complex issues हैं कि Brexit के लिए वोट, मैंने पहले ही बताया था, the entire British population, there always have been pockets who never wanted Brexit, who never wanted to be a part of the European Union. अगर आप वो Brexit referendum को भी लेंगे, उसके बारे में हम कुछ interesting चीजों की बात करेंगे. So this is the Brexit referendum. As you can see, overall 50 to 51.9% to be precise, voted to leave the European Union, and the remaining 48.1% decided to remain in the European Union. So overall, the Leave people got a majority. इनमें सबसे main थे Nigel Farage, who was the leader of a party called the UK Independent Party, and he came to and he ran for elections on the campaign that we will leave the European Union. And Nigel Farage is a bhayanak critic of the European Union, and his language, oh my God, at times you feel he believes in a Trumpian style of communication. इससे ज़्यादा मैं कुछ नहीं बोलूँगा. Interestingly, अगर आप देखेंगे, लंदन में only 40% voted for leave and 60% voted for remain. Right? In Northern Ireland, 56% voted for remain and 44% voted for leave. In Scotland, 62% voted for remain and 38% voted for leave. तो broadly एक ओवरऑल मेजॉरिटी आपको दिखती है वेल्स में. रिमेंबर 52% हैड वोटेड फॉर लीव. इंग्लैंड में एक मेजॉरिटी दिखती है आपको लीव की, और वेल्स में आपको लीव की मेजॉरिटी दिखती है. बाकी हर जगह रिमेन की मेजॉरिटी है. यू गॉट दैट पॉइंट? नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड का रिमेंबर 56-44 याद रखिए. 56% रिमेन, 44% लीव. ये याद रखिए आप, क्योंकि आगे डिस्कशन में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहने वाला है. खैर तब मैं आपको एक और चार्ट दिखा दूंगा. इसमें एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये हुई, 2014 में स्कॉटलैंड में रेफरेंडम हुआ था, शुड वी बिकम इंडिपेंडेंट फ्रॉम ब्रिटेन, शुड स्कॉटलैंड बी एन इंडिपेंडेंट नेशन, and there were and the majority opinion was no, we should remain a part of Great Britain. This was the majority opinion. Remember, England, Wales और Scotland मिलके Great Britain बनाते हैं. तो Scottish decided to remain as a part of Great Britain. तो ये अलग है. बीच में स्कॉटलैंड ने भी धमकाया था कि Brexit happens, we will have a second referendum, we will leave Great Britain. We would prefer to be with the European Union than with Great Britain. So all these undercurrents are there. All these undercurrents definitely are there. So this chart infographic will show you the Brexit process. First, seeks approval from UK Parliament to trigger Article 50. Yes. Second, आफ्टर द रेफरेंडम क्या क्या हुआ था. रेफरेंडम हमने देखा, रेफरेंडम हैपेंड ऑन द 23rd of June 2016. आफ्टर दैट द यूनाइटेड किंगडम गवर्नमेंट sought approval from the UK Parliament to trigger Article 50. This is Article 50 of the Treaty of Lisbon 2009. Remember, it got the permission. Government triggered Article 50. The second step was to notify the European Council, and the third step was a time limit of 2 years for the negotiations to happen. Okay, why do you need 2 years? मैंने अभी बताया था आपको क्या खोया क्या पाया and so on and so forth. तो अभी स्थिति ये है that between the European Union and UK a draft agreement is ready, and the current British government headed by Prime Minister Theresa May and the European Union has come to an agreement. This we'll call the draft Brexit agreement. But as soon as the details of the draft Brexit agreement were revealed to the people, there was a huge opposition. In fact, some people of Theresa May's own party, right, brought a no confidence motion against her within the party, which was of course defeated by Theresa May, right? But remember, after the EU and the British agree on a draft Brexit, the next step is it has to be approved by the British Parliament. There are 3 entities which have to approve it. The first is the British Parliament, the second is the 27 EU states, and the third is the European Parliament. After that approval, Brexit will happen. The deadline, remember, is 31st March 2019. However, if even after the deadline approaches, a period of 1.5 to 2 years has been kept for Britain finally to come out of the European Union. All this happens, remember, if the draft Brexit deal is accepted by the UK Parliament. If it is not accepted, there are 2 choices: either extend the deadline for talks, or UK leaves EU without a deal. Are we very clear on these possible options? Okay, so let's move on. The main issue that is being debated is the question of the Irish backstop. Now, what is the Irish backstop? Remember, large areas of Northern Ireland had voted for Britain to stay, or for UK to stay in the European Union. Northern Ireland इसलिए भी important होता है कि बाकी पूरा United Kingdom, there is no land boundary with any other nation. but Northern Ireland has a land boundary with Ireland. There are 282 road crossings between Northern Ireland and Ireland. तो अगर नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड नॉन ईयू नेशन होता है तो उसके क्या इंप्लीकेशंस रहेंगे, इसको लेके बहुत सारे पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं. दिस इज द फर्स्ट वन, ईयू बैकस्टॉप. अकॉर्डिंग टू ईयू बैकस्टॉप, ईयू इज इंसिस्टिंग ऑन एन ओपन बॉर्डर बिटवीन नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड एंड आयरलैंड. ओके, नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड विल हैव एक्सेस टू द सिंगल मार्केट, जो ईयू के नॉर्मल रूल्स हैं. The British people don't want this, obviously, because if Northern Ireland and Ireland have an open border, okay, then England will need to have some sort of a border control with Northern Ireland, which England doesn't want. Okay, so what England wants is this: border checks between Ireland and Northern Ireland, VAT, customs, duties, etc. between Ireland and Northern Ireland. European Union wants free trade between Ireland and Northern Ireland. ये इशू समझ गया आपको? I'll repeat. European Union wants free trade between Northern Ireland and Ireland, and UK does not want free trade between Northern Ireland and Ireland. एक और इसमें टर्मिनोलॉजी होती है hard border. Okay, if फ्री ट्रेड हैपेंस बिटवीन नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड एंड आयरलैंड, फिर नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड और यूके के बीच में देयर वुड बी अ हार्ड बॉर्डर, जैसा मैंने आपको बताया था, बिकॉज यूके विल हैव टू डू अ लॉट ऑफ चेक्स अल्टीमेटली बिफोर अलाउइंग एनीथिंग फ्रॉम नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड. तो ये आयरिश बैकस्टॉप इज वन मेजर इशू जिसमें डिबेट बहुत चल रहा है. नाउ दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग ग्राफ. दिस शोज नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड्स बॉर्डर डिस्ट्रिक्ट एंड बॉर्डर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स मतलब ये वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं जो आयरलैंड से जुड़े हुए हैं मैप के हिसाब से. तो इसमें आप देखेंगे बेलफास्ट वेस्ट एंड बेलफास्ट साउथ overwhelmingly voted to remain in the European Union, whereas Belfast North and Belfast East, जो Belfast उनका कैपिटल है, वो देखिए आप. ओके, तो जनरली आप देखेंगे the northern part, the southern part rather of Northern Ireland, जो border districts हैं, they have voted overwhelmingly against Brexit, whereas the parts which are towards the England, they have voted for Brexit. So this throws a very interesting concoction of possibilities. So these are the options now. The first option, of course, is no Brexit. Remember, European Union, the chief of the European Union and the German president Angela Merkel, they have made it very clear that this deal that they have offered to Europe, to UK, is the best possible deal, and there is no question of any further negotiations. They have made it amply clear. Second thing is, they have agreed to give certain concessions to the British people. Okay, that does not amount, of course, to a renegotiation. So let's look at the first option, no Brexit. Is this possible? According to some European Union officials, Britain just has to withdraw the intimation it gave to the European Union that they want to exit the European Union. That's all. Okay. Rest is up to Britain and the British law. European Union के laws के हिसाब से just withdrawal of the letter saying that they want to get away from the EU should be enough. But no Brexit के कुछ अलग implications होंगे, because remember the भले ही 51.9% था, but people had voted in favor of Brexit. तो उसका क्या होगा? Now you know why this issue is tearing Britain apart. Second, exit without any deal. Okay, if Britain exits without any deal, बाकी 27 member states जो member nations जो हैं European Union के, it will deal with them according to WTO's trading rules. इसमें मतलब जो पहले कस्टम्स फ्री एंट्री थी ब्रिटिश गुड्स को बाकी 27 देशों में, वो अब नहीं होगी. Right? World Trade Organization, whatever rules WTO has, the trade has to be done according to those rules. Third, the option is being called हार्ड ब्रेक्सिट. हार्ड ब्रेक्सिट में यहां दिया है border controls would be there between Ireland and Northern Ireland, that Britain sticks to its stand, and let's see what happens. Border controls will be there, and there would be of course a free trade deal with the EU. But the point is, EU manegi kya? EU manegi kya? There is a certain section amongst the Britishers in British official circles who think that Germany has huge economic interests aligned with the UK. Therefore, if UK presses for more concerns, maybe Germany would help them. But Germany is very clear. Germany's importance is in retaining EU, the political power of EU, though it may lose on the economic front. Even during the Greece debt crisis, when the time for the third bailout came, Germany imposed very tough restrictions on Greece. Okay, you have to reform your economy structurally and so on. Greece thought till the last moment, and they applied some pressure on Germany, but Germany said nothing doing. So Germany is very clear. Remember, EU wants to pass on a message also to its other member nations that if you decide to exit the European Union, these would be the implications. And the moment they relax anything on Britain, on United Kingdom, the moment they give some relaxation to the United Kingdom, they would be in a way encouraging other nations to think about exiting. And the European Union definitely does not want that, and Germany definitely does not want other member states to think that exiting European Union is gonna be easy. तो ये कहीं ना कहीं एक ईगो की भी, इंस्टीट्यूशनल ईगो का भी शायद इसमें इशू है. Then you have a middle Brexit, that is you have a customs union with Turkey, and you have with the European Union, and you have a soft Brexit where there would be a single market for goods and commodities. Okay, तो ये पूरा इंफोग्राफिक है. आप अगर हमको मेल करेंगे तो ये पूरा इंफोग्राफिक आपको मिलेगा, इसको आप डिटेल में स्टडी कर सकते हैं. These are the various options. What would be the worst option for UK? Of course, the worst option would be no deal. Exit Brexit with no deal at all. Now, there are calls for a second referendum also in Britain. Let's do a Brexit vote again. Theresa May is strictly opposed to a second referendum, and she is saying that this would divide the UK further. That's her official statement. What about the industrialists? They are a bit concerned. In Britain, they are a bit concerned, but Theresa May recently made a huge effort to reach out to businesses and convince them that ये deal important क्यों है. According to May, under the current circumstances, this is the best deal that can be obtained. Okay, so these are the options that are available. अब क्या होगा, Brexit actually होगा कि नहीं, ये हमको फिलहाल नहीं पता. We'll have to wait and watch. Remember, 31st March 2019 is the deadline for Brexit. Anything has to happen, it has to happen before that. Thank you very much. I hope this lecture has clarified some basic issues relating to Brexit. If you want the entire PPT of this lecture, this is where you have to email us. And before I go, just a reminder of our courses: a full video course for philosophy optional and CAT GDPI training starting on 22nd of December. Okay, thank you very much and take care.